Trinity and Reese, despite their history of conflict, are drawn together by a shared past and a simmering attraction. After a disastrous first date, they begin to open up, revealing hidden hurts and vulnerabilities. Reese, burdened by the weight of his alpha responsibilities and the guilt of failing to protect Trinity, struggles to express his true feelings. Trinity, wary of his unpredictable behavior, questions his intentions and fears getting hurt again. Will Reese be able to overcome his own doubts and insecurities to truly connect with Trinity? Can Trinity trust Reese enough to let down her guard and fully embrace their growing attraction? How will the pack's reaction to the proposed daycare affect Trinity and Reese's relationship? Will their growing feelings for each other overcome the lingering resentment and mistrust?
Can I tell you a secret? Lyla lowered her voice. I think my son loves an opportunity to carry you to bed. Trinity blushed. Lyla was right. There was the time when Trinity had fallen asleep in the library, again when she was unconscious at Riley's pack house, and again when Trinity had almost drowned. She visualized Reese effortlessly carrying her in his strong arms. Oh, goddess. Trinity's face flushed a brighter red. Why am I just realizing this now? Luna? Lyla giggled. Come back to me. Sorry. Trinity shook herself out of her memories. I must still be waking up. No need to apologize. I understand better than anyone. It's funny. Lyla gazed out the window. This must have been the same position we were in when you called me back to you and Reese. Wait, you remember that? Yes. Lyla nodded. Has anyone told you what happened? Trinity shook her head. I remember the night my husband died clearly, Lyla began. It was difficult for her to recount even after so many years. I remember going with him and a group of pack wolves, including my cousin Stephen, to sign a treaty between packs. There wasn't supposed to be a fight, but when we got there, we learned it was an ambush. Lyla paused, fighting back tears. I watched my husband die in front of me. Then I was hit in the head by something really hard. The next thing I knew, I was walking in the darkness. There was never any relief from that oblivion. Trinity exhaled. She couldn't imagine the amount of pain that Lyla had held for so long. I don't know what to call what happened to me. Most of the time, I was somewhere else entirely. But once in a while, I would hear things. I heard Reese's voice. He would tell me what was going on in his life. Sometimes he would talk about good things, his voice filled with pride. Other times he vented to me angrily. Often he would tell me what he couldn't tell others, his voice full of tears he probably never shed. Trinity squeezed her hand. Between the two of them, they cared about Reese more than anyone else in the world. They both hated to see him in pain. But you know, Lyla continued, I remember your touch as well. I remember when I heard your voice. I felt someone touch my hand, and when I looked down at it, where there had only ever been darkness before, I saw a thin white line attached to my palm. It was the first thing I had seen in that darkness, ever. What was it? Trinity was breathless. It was you, Trinity. Tears silently flowed down Lila's cheeks. You guided me back. You wanted me to come save my son, and you took my hand and guided me home. I don't understand. Trinity shook her head. How could I do that? How could I guide you back? You're special, Trinity. Reese has told me so as well. He said how you're not like the others. Yeah, because I don't have a wolf. Not because I'm someone who can do anything amazing. Are you sure about that? Lyla broke into a confident smile. I followed you, Trinity. When I came back, I knew your voice. You brought me home because you're special. So many memories were flooding back to her. The time in the woods when she could smell the warlocks and Reese couldn't. When she could see them and Reese couldn't. How she never got a wolf. All of the things that marked her as different from everyone else, they were all coming back to her at once. What am I, exactly? Where do I belong? Who am I? These were the questions that Trinity desperately wanted answered, but she was never likely to find out. Doubts aside, everything was coming up Trinity. January flew by. The January moon was the wolf moon. It meant all the wolves went for a run together. Reese would lead it, as always, and Trinity would have to stay behind since they still hadn't managed to sort out who was after her. But on day one, he stormed up to her room long enough before she expected him home. Her hair was still drip-drying, and her pajamas were nothing more than a thick tank top and a pair of shorts that barely reached her thighs. She knew he was worked up because Reese hardly noticed her skimpy attire. He was too busy huffing as she opened the door to let him into her room. She leaned back against the door with an amused expression. Her sense of humor seemed to frustrate him even more. "You're sending messages through Noah now?" He stared her down from a few steps away. Her good spirits wavered when she saw how annoyed he was. Did he not want her around? She went for something light as a reply. She said, "You haven't been around much, so I thought he'd get to you faster." Reese ground out. "I thought we were past this. You stay in the house for your own safety." Easy for Reese to say. He goes wherever he wants. She stuffed down that response and pushed off the door to stand on her own 2 feet. "I get that, but I haven't left the house in over a month." He clearly didn't care about that. Reese said, "Because the last time we went on a trip, you were attacked. Why can't you just be happy here?" "I am happy here." She reached for his hands, but he didn't hold hers. His hands shook with a frustration that she couldn't pierce. She tried to explain herself. "This house is great, but I want to see more than a daycare and what's visible from the balconies. Your trip will be far enough from here. They're not going to follow us all the way to Los Angeles." "You don't know that." He pushed her hands away. "They found you at Riley's." "And you found me too. You can't really be that afraid, can you? What happened to the alpha who was chosen for a reason? You're too strong to let anything get to me." She baited him. She knew appealing to his pride might help her get her way. He growled, "This isn't a game, Trinity. It's your life." "Reese," she started softly, "I haven't seen you in a week. You want us to get closer? Then we need this trip. We need to get away. We need to go to a place where we don't have to worry about who's after us or how many daycare shifts we need to schedule. Before, I never knew if I get to see more than the compound. Now I can do that with you." "At what cost?" he asked. He stepped forward and she had no room left. She backed into the bedroom door. His body was overwhelming. The heat of his rage, the depth of his protectiveness. She felt them pushing her back into the hard wood. "Reese." "No, you listen to me." He growled out through gritted teeth. His chest heaved and she stared into it, unable to think for a moment. How could he do that? How could his mere presence distract her when all she wanted was to tell him that this was important to her? She'd spent weeks convincing him that the physical mattered less than their emotions. The physical was what was missing now. The quality time, the promise of their inevitable melding, the passion. His hand shot out to lift her chin to face him. The grip of his fingers on her skin made her whimper. She clenched her jaw to keep it in. Oh, Goddess, don't let him hear it. Screw it. Maybe he needed to hear it. He needed to know that she couldn't be left behind to fend for herself anymore. I just got you on my side. If something happened to you, I would risk everything to take revenge. Humans be damned. His voice shook with an urgency that she never heard before. His hand rose and she leaned into it, shifting onto her toes. Her body curved to meet his. Then damn them, she said. I can help protect myself. Stop hiding. You either want me with you or you don't. She shivered as the low timbre of his words seemed to caress her. I want you more than anything. Her cheeks burned, but not with embarrassment. That admission unlocked something in her and him too. His control snapped. Reese used his grip on her chin to pull her to his lips. He didn't just take a taste. He devoured her. His body pressed her back into the door, and she held onto his shirt for dear life. With a new vantage point, she was hitched up slightly. She felt all of him for the first time. She gasped into the kiss, and his tongue lapped in her mouth. It was electric. Every cell of her body screamed for more. How had she resisted this long? How had they put this off when it already felt so good? The kiss broke and she dove in for a second, then a third. They were growing frantic as their intensity rose as much as his pants did. My mate, my mate, my mate. Trinity awoke with a start to a knock at her door. What time is it? She groggily reached for her phone. She didn't know what time she'd finally gone to sleep, but she knew it was late. She was struck with flashes of memory from the night before. Luna, are you okay? You slept for half the day. Oh, Goddess. Lyla was right outside her door. I brought you breakfast, Lyla called. Well, more like lunch. She opened the door for Lyla, who held a steaming tray with all of her favorite breakfast foods. Are you feeling okay, honey? Oh, I'm just tired. I don't know what it is. Trinity wished she had planned a better excuse before opening the door, but everything had been so unplanned. Trinity stepped out of the way so Lyla could carry the tray to her table when she spotted her pajamas from last night, or what was left of them, on the floor. She pretended she was plugging in her phone and surreptitiously kicked the ruined clothes under her bed. Thank Goddess. I do not want to explain that to Reese's mother. What is it? Lyla stood up straight after setting down the tray. What? Trinity froze. That smell. Lyla's eyes were filled with worry. It's blood. Trinity, dear, are you sure you're okay? Did something happen? I don't know what you're talking about. Trinity joined Lyla at the table. Trinity, sweetheart, you're limping. Trinity's face turned from red to crimson. What happened to you? I know the smell of blood. You need to tell me what's wrong with... Lyla stopped mid-sentence and blushed. Not as red as Trinity, but it was still an impressive shade. Oh... Trinity buried her face in her hands. So that's why Reese was being so coy at breakfast. Lyla clapped her hands. This is wonderful news. She cheered as Trinity looked at her, mortified. Trinity did not want to have this conversation with her mate's mother, especially before she'd had a chance to drink her coffee. Don't give me that look. Lyla was smiling. It is good news. It means you've moved past your issues. Thank you, Lyla. Trinity immediately grimaced. And now I have grandchildren to look forward to. Lyla! Trinity gasped. She had moved too suddenly. We are so not talking about this. Fine, we don't have to talk about it. Lyla handed Trinity her coffee and guided her toward the bathroom. Trinity did not stop blushing until long after Lyla was gone. She was right, though. The bath was exactly what Trinity needed. As Trinity dried her hair with a towel, she heard another knock at the door. Trinity's sigh of frustration melted into desire as she thought of Reese. She hoped he would be the one to knock next. "Trin, I know you're in there." "Juniper." Trinity wrapped herself in a plush robe and threw open the door. "Goddess, I will never get over how jealous I am of this bathroom." Juniper marched straight in. Trinity smiled. It was really a gift to have friends so close that they barged into the bathroom with you. "I tried calling, but you didn't answer. I knew you'd be here, so I decided to just show up. Hi." "Hi."
Juniper's unexpected visit had left Trinity reeling, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. As she prepared to face the day, a single question echoed in her mind. What would Reese say when he saw her? And more importantly, what would he do? Will Reese be furious with Trinity for breaking his orders? Will their newfound intimacy be shattered by his anger? And what secrets still lie hidden within Trinity, waiting to be unleashed? Hey, I am Trinity. Want to know what happens next? Then click the link in the description below and download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Chosen by Fate, Rejected by the Alpha,